Hello, everybody. What are we doing here? Where are we and what are we doing here? Okay, let me stand up. Hey, we're not going anywhere, but don't get excited. All right, we are here. So we are at Hunter's Point. This is a naval shipyard, or was a naval shipyard, and it's the closest parallel or case study that I could come up with for discussion and trying to find research about what we do with Santa Monica Airport. How's that? A little better connection? Okay. Let's get a good shot. So, what we're looking at over there
Setting the scene. Your wheeled backpack V4 plus Starlink rig lets you roll straight into sites and live stream what you find. Think of it as a field studio on demand, perfect for comparing 3 Bay Area airfields turned brownfields where parkland, housing, and cleanup politics collide. 1. Candlestick Point State Recreation Area F. Aspect Key Facts. Origins, created in 1977 after Bayview Hunters Point residents fought to reclaim a shoreline dump, becoming California's first urban state park. Site turned search, scale tied to 204 acres of bayfront open space, wetlands restoration, fishing pier, and trail network. Current work, state parks in the city's OCII expect underground utilities and sea level rise infrastructure to break ground late 2025, early 2026. 2-year schedule. Site turn search. Wider plan. The Candlestick Point Siberia plan knits new housing, retail, and transit into the park edge while preserving shoreline access. Takeaway. Decades of community activism secured park status first, then layered redevelopment around it. Proof that grassroots pressure can steer state-level agencies toward environmental justice. Number 2, Hunters Point Naval Shipyard, SF, Aspect Key Facts. Legacy contamination, nuclear testing rad waste, solvents, heavy metals. Superfund since 1989. Cleanup status, Navy starting final Parcel C and B1 soil remediation in summer 2025. Site D turn search, 1 turn search 7, litigation watch. 2025 court rulings trimmed, but did not dismiss, claims that the Navy is behind on mandatory 5-year reviews. Site turn search, developer-backed settlement offers over data falsification scandals have been rejected as inadequate. Site search, Tetra Tech EC agreed to a $97 million federal fraud settlement in January 2025. SciTurn News 11, redevelopment vision, 12,000 home mini city contingent on full retesting and regulatory sign-off. Takeaway, cleanup credibility is everything. Data manipulation scandals cost years and eroded public trust. An object lesson for Santa Monica to insist on transparent third-party verification from day one. Nash 3, Santa Monica Airport, Aspect Key Facts Closure Clock. Guaranteed shutdown on Deck 31st, 2028 under 2017 FAA agreement. Planning process, 21-month airport conversion project now in phase 3. Council to pick a preferred scenario by late 2005, South 3 Church Act. Competing visions. Great park only. Measure LC purists. Hybrid park plus affordable housing. Revenue-oriented mixed use. Recent council vote advanced park-heavy studies after pro-housing amendment failed. Site turn search 2, Planning Commission still probing housing mechanics. Site turn search community pulse. Local Democratic Club backs great park stance, while polls show a split electorate over including housing. Site earn 3 search, 1 and 3 search 5. Takeaway. SMO's debate echoes Candlestick's early years, a tug of war between open space champions and housing advocates, with environmental health, lead, PFAS, soil vapor as the referee. Number 4, cross-site parallels and lessons, theme Candlestick, Hunters Point, Santa Monica Airport. Implications, brownfield remediation, dump to park cleanup, wetlands restoration, radioactive and chemical superfund, long litigation, leaded avgas soils, potential PFAS, budget early for robust site investigations and independent audits. Governance model, state parks OCII, Navy BRAC, plus city developers, city led under Measure LC. Pick a clear lead agency, demand open data portals for remediation status. Community justice, resident led park creation, EJ lawsuits and mistrust. Neighbors push for pollution free reuse. Use community advisory boards with real decision power. Park versus housing tension. Park anchored first, housing later. Housing contingent on cleanup. Clash now in full swing. Explore phased hybrid zoning that protects park acreage while meeting RHNA housing mandates. Funding and phasing state bonds, Prop 84, philanthropy, federal cleanup, private development, local bonds, state grants, potential ballot measure. Blend green infrastructure grants with affordable housing tax credits. Require escrowed remediation funds. 5. Strategic recommendations for SMO. 1. Transparent science early. Commission third-party soil, groundwater, and noise studies live streamed. Your Backpack V4 rig can broadcast sampling in real time. Publish data in OpenGIS layers to avoid Hunter's Point style credibility gaps. 2. EJ and community governance. Seat a resident majority advisory board modeled on Candlestick's Friends of Candlestick, but empowered to veto remediation shortcuts. 3. Hybrid land use scenario. Carve out a non-negotiable ecological core, wetland recharge, urban forest, to satisfy Measure LC, then cluster 20 to 30 acres of affordable housing near transit edges. Use inclusionary zoning and community land trusts to lock in affordability. 4. Funding stack. Pair a municipal GO bond, park infrastructure, with state affordable housing and sustainable communities, HSC grants. Pursue federal RAISE or IRA climate resilience funds for stormwater capture like Candlestick's Sea Rise Utilities Trench. 5. Accountability tech. Deploy your Starlink-enabled field kit to live stream council site walks, drone map contaminated hotspots, and archive progress as a built-in anti-fraud measure. Number 6. Next investigation moves, timeline, action. Now Q4 2025. Join SMO conversion project workshops. Submit written comments referencing Candlestick Hunters Point case law and cleanup standards. Early 2026. Advocate for an SMO environmental data dashboard linking lab results, contract milestones, and budget spend. 2026 to 2027. Pilot small plot phytoremediation, mustard poplar, on non-operational infields. Document efficacy with your Backpack lab stream. 2028. Stage a closing day symposium, broadcasting lessons learned for other city-owned airports, Hawthorne, Reed, Hillview, facing similar fates. Bottom line. Candlestick shows that a community-first, park-anchored plan can reclaim toxic land. Hunters Point warns that sloppy science can stall housing for decades. Santa Monica still has time to get the balance right if it bakes transparency, environmental justice, and phased funding into the master plan from day one.
Man, I should bring my good tripod out here. This sucks. Look at that thing. Look at the history of that. Incredible. Look at that right next to it. We're doing research right now. Maybe in the meantime, should we watch a video? Maybe let's do okay. Let's switch over. Let's see. Okay, so that looks like the artist area over there. Let's switch back. So that's the channel that one we were looking at. Oh, you haven't heard anything I've been saying? I'm so sorry. Um, okay. So, let's switch back. So we have, all right, so we're looking at this dry dock right here. Let's switch over back here. That's this dry dock right here. So we're looking at artist, artist collective here. Oh, hold up. Oh, my mouse is different. I have to look at the mouse on the screen. This is the artist collective here, it looks like, and we have commercial going all up and down here. So let's switch back. So that's the main channel. So it looks like this whole area is going to be artist, and then that's all commercial, and then looks like was it Den's housing right here, and then the fancy people with the nice view that way. Let's switch back. Oh, here we go. So okay, so we have Den's housing. Let's get the mass. All right, here we go. So here we are. This is where we are right now. We were just looking at this. This is the commercial we were looking at. Den's housing artist. Okay, let's look to the right now. So on the right, they're going to be building a park in the middle there, purple. It's purple commercial, tons of commercial, and then that looks like a center park area. And then here we go, soccer fields for all you guys. So center park here, commercial. So while all of that's okay, whatever. And then here's the baseball fields and the soccer fields they're going to build, which gets the people happy. So let's switch over back to the map so we can see what that's like. Hold on. Okay, so it looks like they're leaving the soccer fields, which already kind of grass already right now. And then let's see, that all is they're gonna turn that all into park. Let's switch back. Yeah, so that's all gonna be park and housing. Okay. And then we have the slaw here, and that's gonna the thing is are you gonna be able to connect all the goal would be is if you could go from this park all the way all the way through, because I was at the point here and the guy we're talking about this when we get over here. We're gonna talk about the candlestick later, but I just wanted you to see this overview of the plan that's going on here. All right. Again, the radioactive stuff was down over there, and that the people that live over there, those are very interesting. That's the town I was telling you about. That people, I haven't seen the type of cars and the amount of like active cars that like are like working but like really crashed. I don't know how to describe it. So maybe if we're, I don't know if we're gonna drive around live streaming. We'll see what we end up. Okay, that was cool. Um, and yeah, I think think it's time we watch some videos. Okay, let's switch back.
Hi, my name is Charlie, and I am a community engagement interpreter at Candlestick Point State Recreation Area, the first urban state park in California and located in the beautiful South San Francisco on the San Francisco Bay. So climate change affects everyone everywhere, but especially here in San Francisco, there are some specific challenges that we are dealing with right now that are only going to get worse in the face of climate change. One of the best things about our parks is that we are on the edge of the San Francisco Bay. But what that means is that with sea level rise, parts of our park are going to be affected. In fact, it's estimated that by 2100, over 3% of San Francisco is slated to be underwater. And so here at Candlestick Point State Recreation Area, we're doing the best that we can to look at extreme high tide events like king tides to get an insight into what our park might look like into the future, and to think if there are environmental or engineering decisions that we can make that could protect our park into the future.
Point Naval Shipyard is located in the southeast portion of the city of San Francisco on a peninsula that extends into the San Francisco Bay. Hunters Point was operated as a commercial dry dock facility from 1869 until the Navy purchased the property in 1939. Following the attack on Pearl Harbor, the property became one of the U.S. Navy's major shipyards on the West Coast, playing a key role in the Pacific Theater during World War II. Around this time, luminescent devices such as deck markers came into widespread use aboard Navy ships. Some surfaces that needed to be illuminated without using electricity were coated with a radioluminescent paint, allowing personnel to locate controls, gauges, and walkways during operations. In 1946, following two atomic tests at Bikini Atoll in the South Pacific known as Operation Crossroads, waterfront areas at Hunters Point were used to dock and clean up ships contaminated during testing. This resulted in the creation of a special Radiation Safety Office and Program, later known as the Naval Radiological Defense Laboratory. The laboratory, also known as NRDL, played an important role in our National Defense Program, studying the effects of nuclear radiation. As more work began shifting to private shipyards in the late 1960s and early 1970s, use of the Hunters Point shipyard began to steadily decline until the yard was closed as an active naval facility in 1974. Hunters Point entered the Base Realignment and Closure Program in 1991. At that point, the Navy began a detailed review to determine potential radiological impacts to buildings and soil areas on the property. The process involved conducting an historical radiological assessment, or HRA, that ultimately documented findings from the assessment. An HRA serves as the equivalent to an investigative starting point that identifies if site activities require investigation. Field investigations are conducted to identify the nature and extent of contamination. HRAs are not limited to the footprint of areas to be studied. The Hunters Point HRA included a rigorous examination of historical information about any area where radiological operations could have occurred between 1939 to June 2003. It was based on expert analysis of thousands of historical records and more than 170 interviews with people who worked at Hunters Point. The goal for this process was to designate sites, including buildings, as impacted or non-impacted. This focused the search to areas where potential contamination might have occurred, allowing the Navy to further investigate and confirm if contamination existed. The HRA assessed a total of 882 sites at Hunters Point. Of these, 90 were identified as impacted by radiological materials, meaning there is the potential for radioactive materials to exist. In general, impacted sites require radiological surveys and soil sampling to determine if further remedial actions are necessary based on radiation levels in the soil or building materials. As part of the surveys and sampling, the Navy identified radiological compounds that could have been present at Hunters Point. Although some radiological activities began as early as 1939, most compounds identified stem from the NRDL's work at the shipyard from 1948 to 1969. Decommissioning of NRDL buildings was conducted and overseen by the Atomic Energy Commission in the 1960s and 70s. Radiological materials were removed and the laboratories were cleaned to the standards of the time. Those standards have changed over the years, and current work is focused on cleaning up Hunters Point to today's stricter standards. Remaining areas designated as impacted have undergone remediation, all according to surplus standards. This work is also being confirmed by additional testing. The Navy's first priority in its base realignment and closure cleanup work at Hunters Point is human health and safety. The Navy is committed to ensuring that cleanup processes are properly followed and that any potential risks are managed according to regulatory guidelines, doing so transparently in partnership with the community. For updates, visit our website for the latest information.
About that. So you've got all this stuff that kept us safe, realistically. You built all the things. Everything here was built to build the things to protect us. Cool, got that. Santa Monica Airport, similar thing. Built the airplanes that protected us. The Douglas, and very similar. This is just boats in this area. The remediation, again, I'm just talking off the cuff, but like the remediation was paid for by the Navy here. I don't know who's going to pay for the remediation in Santa Monica. That's okay. We're not dealing with apples and apples. We're dealing with radiological here, and Santa Monica Airport. We're dealing with, we don't even know what, but we do know from the Boeing settlement or the McDonnell Douglas settlement or the Douglas settlement. So we know stuff's there. Okay, so we can see these piles are fascinating also. They look like they've been there. You saw they had stuff growing on them. They look like they've been there for a while. How about that thing was in the video? That was cool. So just trying to like catch you guys up to speed on where my head's at. Okay, I think, should we still stay here or should we walk around? If I walk around, I might lose some stuff. But if I do so, then we can read the signs. Is it time for sign reading? Yeah, let's take this on the road, I guess. Made my like little keyboard holder right here. All right, here we go. This is the dream. This has been the whole idea. The thing is, I can't put the Starlink on my backpack because then I have the radiation right next to my head. So I'm just trying to stay away from that. So at least the shielding on the bottom is pretty good. That's for the guy who did the Baja with the Starlink on his head. Oh man, I'm hot. Okay, I can't. This jacket has to come off. I'm gonna cook. Are you feeling it? What time is it? Heads up display 2:44. And check my watch. Check my glasses. I mean, audio is a whole nother equation, but we'll get there. We will get there. Okay, camera. You seem sad. You're still on? Oh my god, you're still on. How much battery do I have? 90. I can do this for 20 hours on this battery. All right. This is it. You're doing it now. You saw the video. Tired. This is a process. It could be if we were cell bonded and could like bond with this thing, that would be. Bro, this is literally you're just doing something nobody's ever done before right now. Just move on. Dragon cables and dragon cables. All right. Can I read this through my heads-up display? Okay, let's try that. That sounds like a fun experiment. Okay. So this is me reading through my eyeglasses. Not. Wow, this is crazy. I can actually read it. Okay. Then, in just 2 years after America's entry into World War II, this unique peninsula was transformed into a vast complex designed to repair and maintain the United Navy's Pacific Fleet. From the smallest vessel, today, this waterfront would be unrecognized. Oh, wait. Oh, I should start over here. Okay, start over there. Punta de Concha. Punta de Concha. Concha. Shell? Wow. Yeah. Spanish name given to the prominent peninsula known today as Hunters Point. The name first appears on the chart plan de Puerto Francisco, 1777. I forgot about that. It's so funny that this is happening in 1776 by Jose de Canzares, first pilot of the Spanish vessel San Carlos for 100. I guess I can keep my head straight. I don't have to look at it. For 166 years, Hunters Point remained relatively undisturbed, except for the establishment of a small merchant shipyard. Does this have the thing about the Chinese? We'll get that. I think it's other. Today, this waterfront would be unrecognizable to the Aholone who lived and worked along these shores. As we moved forward in the building, the next phase of the shipyard's history recognized as honorably preceded us and the development which followed. Okay. Indigenous history, territory of the Ohlone people, and favorite first permanent dry docks. And local citizens group plan to redevelop the community. So this has been going on. You see what I'm talking about? What are we? Okay. So it is 2025. Okay. That's what, 30 years? Okay. Just fix my hair. Everything's fine. And then we have 2005. Construction begins on a new transformative neighborhood. 2005, the construction. Wait, this to me, I'm trying to figure out the time scale here. This says 2005 construction begins. This to me looks under construction, but your sign. Who made this sign? Is this a city sign? Who? Oh, it's an equal house. So this must be part of the real estate development. So who has to clear the legitimacy of this, and who gets to tell the story? History is told by history is told by those who win the war. I mean, obviously they won the war because they got to put the sign up here. Why do we have an equal housing opportunities on a Okay. Cool. Very good information. We got it. Let us continue on our adventure. Ready, Buddha? You ready? This is totally happening. I'm doing it. It's- Wheeling my satellite and computer. This battery. It's so overkill, but it's awesome. Sign. We got info. Information. Let's post this up. The Ohlone people are Native American people who lived on the Aboriginal lands between San Francisco and Monterey Bay for over 10,000 years. Monterey Bay. Wow. Is that close? That's like on the border of the Chumash, basically. Oh, who is in between the Chumash and these people? Okay, well, that was for another day. Before Spanish colonization, their traditional way of life was relatively stable until the arrival of the Spanish, of course, until in 1769. Mission San Francisco de Oasis, also known as Mission Dolores. Okay, that was my question earlier about the mission in San Francisco. That answers that. So we got to check that out. That's maybe not today. The entire mission complex was constructed by Native American laborers. Severe living and working conditions and European diseases reduced the native population by the mission by over 75%. Of course, representatives of several tribes are actively involved in restoration and preservation of their lands and culture. I have to say everything out loud. All right, what was that? Okay, so there's the new houses. There's the whole neighborhood. All right, onward, I guess. In 1866, about 30 acres, including submerged land. Submerged. Oh, interesting. Granted for the construction of a modern dry dock, the area's impermeable serpentine bedrock was an ideal location for a graving or stationary dry dock for the booming ship repair industry. The California Dry Dock Company opened Hunters Point by dry dock. In 1910, Chinese fishermen established lucrative fishing industry. A community of Chinese fishermen who have called Hunters Point home since the late 1800s joined together to form a large-scale shrimp fishery. Testament to the Chinese contribution to San Francisco productive waterfront activities or in waterfront industries. Hunters Point was taken over by the Bethlehem Shipping Company in 1905 and renamed the Union Iron Works. Hunters Point Commercial Dry Dock Historic District is listed on the National Register of Historic Places. The third dry dock is built a shipyard capable of holding the world's largest ships. Hunters Point Shipyard. The U.S. Navy takes over. As World War II escalated, the Navy took ownership of the Union Iron Works from Bethlehem Steel in 1939, naming it Hunters Point Naval Shipyard. Shortly thereafter, San Francisco's Department of Health burned down the 6 remaining Chinese shrimp camps, citing unsanitary conditions and the War Powers Act of 19... Okay, so... Okay, so yes, probably there were unsanitary conditions, but this seems like a way of just clearing people out and just this is a polite way of covering it up. Remember, we're dealing with whatever real estate company is doing this. Okay, let's keep reading. Acquisition of land for military and naval forces within weeks. The U.S. Navy condemned and Within weeks, the U.S. Navy condemned and purchased over 535 acres. The shipyard area houses the first artists, painters, and sculptors. Adrian Voisin purchased the old Albion Brewing Company castle and converted it into a private residence studio. The building, now private residence, still stands at 881 Indian Street. Initially, 88 homes and 23 businesses were displaced by U.S. Navy actions, and many were displaced before the end of the war. By 1945, the shipyard had grown to 979 acres of filled and unfilled tidal lands, 6 dry docks ranging from 420 feet to 1,000 feet in length. So there were 6. I only counted 3 now, but maybe there's other ones. 1,000 feet. I mean, that's an aircraft carrier. 200 buildings. 200 buildings. 5 miles of berthing. 5 miles of berthing space. That's docks, basically, is what that means. And 17 miles of railroad tracks. The acquisition of Hunters Point by the U.S. Navy was the most significant event in the history of the district. Should we get some close-ups? Some weird filmmaking I'm doing. I'm like squatting over. Whoa, it almost fell over. That guy's cool. That says now we should go there. I didn't go over there. Okay, we're going on a walk. We're button up, going to the next spot. As the rock climbers in Yosemite would say, we're migrating. Well, shit. This is not a good system. It's art. This an enlarged version of antique Rococo style frame within landscape captures multiple views and perspective. Frame is interactive and invites visitors, passers. Funding by U.S. Department of Commerce, Economic Development Administration, collection of the Office of Community Investment Infrastructure. That Office of Community Investment and Infrastructure, OCI. That was the website we were on earlier. I'm pretty sure. Okay. Art. I mean, okay, so what are we looking at? We've got a giant picture frame with the bottom cut out. And this has been here for the last 10 years. So you guys put this here 10 years, or it was made in 20. Okay, I don't know how old this park is, but like when we're talking about Santa Monica Airport and this conversion, What do you mean? I mean, he's friendly. What's the question though? Hi. Let's go. Let's go. Yeah. Is your dog friendly? Yeah, he's friendly, but don't interact with him. So are you asking? Are you asking for the dogs to interact, or are you asking like what do you? Just tell me what you're asking. Are you worried about? Why are you worried about another dog attacking? Like we. Oh man. Even a baby stroller would be better than this thing. What do you think these things are for? What, are they like? Yes. Thule canoes are made of tulle reeds. Tulle reeds. So we should have like gathering the reeds, the reed baskets. That's cool. Thule canoes are used by Ohlone people. Gathers in sufficient part of baby rennet built a traditional lake and displayed a hilltop from where baby hunters play out was faithful to. So it's so nice. I mean, I just. All right. Well, let's. I think it's a wrap for over here at Hunters Point. Let's migrate over to Candlestick, and we're gonna go see California's first urban state park. Thanks for joining me on this. I can switch cameras. Yeah. This is as far as I can get with this cable. This that's crazy talk, but alas, again, Thanks for tuning in. And if you made it all the way to the end, it's pretty impressive. Typically, nobody ever makes it to the end, but if you did, it means you're a true fan. So cool. This worked fairly well. We're gonna get to look at the audio later. I'm checking my car and check out Aurora Too Dark also. Whatever. I guess I can't really tell. That's not too bad. That's a reasonable exposure. Yeah, that's legit. That's fine. So cool beans, guys. Thanks for being around. This is fun. This is the first like full experiment of this idea of like satellite mobile live streaming. I mean, if this is still going, can you just? I mean, how long is this? Like satellite, an hour and a half. We just did an hour and a half satellite mobile live stream completely off the grid with this like okay. Well, here we are at Candlestick State Park. So we came from over there. We're on the edge of this tip right now. Is the fishing dock. So let's see. We are right here right now. We're at this point. We were over here earlier. And so this is discussing the vulnerability to sea level rise. I wonder if we can have this read to us. That would be cool.
Skip to main content. Home about U.S. Contact U.S. Publications. PRA request. Parks Director. Public notices. Accessibility and parks organizational structure. Opportunities. Off. Vehicle Recreation Division. Office of Historic Preservation. Division of Boating and Waterways. Commissions. Find a park event. Safety tips. Rules and regulations. Historic sites. Dogs in parks. Maps. Travel tips. Live video gallery. Weddings at state parks. Filming and photography. Reservations and fees. Sales dates. Availability. Search. Camping information. Annual passes. Adventure pass. Manage reservations. Guided tours. Hearst Castle tours. What's new? Parks Newsroom. Parks blogs. Significant incidents. Updates. Frequently asked questions. Jobs. Job postings. Exam announcements. Careers. No recruiting. Seasonal and part-time. Law enforcement. Careers. Volunteers. Parks host. Students. Programs. Grants. Commissions. Park management. Arts in California. Parks. Outdoors for all. Planning for a changing landscape. Outdoor youth connection. Boating. Safety. Kids outdoors. EV charging. Explore Ports. Cultural resources. Natural resources. Interpretive programs. Summer for kids. Educators. Community involvement. Candlestick Point State Recreation Area. FAQ. Site improvements. What site improvements are included in Candlestick Point State Recreation Area's general plan? California State Parks is actively planning for site improvements at Candlestick Point State Recreation Area, SRA. Improvements include upgrades to lighting, restrooms, utilities, trails, and parking lots, as well as the creation of new recreational facilities such as a boating center and windsurfing launch ramp. More information can be found at our general plan for the park. Where is Candlestick Point SRA in the planning and building process? Currently, Parks is in year 2 of its preliminary planning phase of implementing the general plan and will move into the working drawings phase next. The state has invested $2.66 million from Prop 68 towards this first phase and has estimated construction of this phase to cost approximately $40 million. Because of the status of the state's budget, we are not sure when we will be able to advance to the working drawings phase. We will update the public as soon as we have more information. Are there other site improvements in the works outside of the general plan implementation? In addition to the capital outlay projects outlined in prior budget acts, the department allocated an additional $2 million to Candlestick Point SRA in the spring of 2024 through the California State Parks Waterways Connection Initiative. We are working to encumber this money, some of which has been delayed given the state budget deficit. We will inform the community when we have a more accurate timeline to share. With this money, State Parks will fix the public restrooms and restore light to parking lots.
Yeah.
We are in pre-design phase with engineering firm Mott MacDonald on this work. Replace picnic tables, fire rings, and grills. We have purchased grills and fire rings and will be installing them in the next couple of months. Rehabilitate the second fishing pier. We are working to encumber this money, acquire new kayaks and fishing equipment to expand the recreation opportunities. While we have purchased the kayaking equipment, we will not be able to begin this programming until we are able to hire a recreation specialist. The paperwork necessary to post this position to be filled has been submitted. How will Candlestick Point SRA be affected by the eventual development of the land where the stadium used to be? State Parks has an agreement with the City of San Francisco's Office of Community Investment and Infrastructure, OCI, for land transfers and related considerations for the transfers as authorized in SB 792 in 2009. There will be city infrastructure such as outfalls and street lighting on park property, and park boundaries will change. Given that OCI is the lead in the area's development, State Parks will cooperate with the city's schedule so that work is not redone in designing the park boundary area. Given that there will be significant grade changes given sea level rise considerations, where will funding come to complete the work outlined in the general plan? Funding will come from the land transfer considerations, the state budget, and outside fundraising for grants and donations. When the planning process is further developed, we plan to continue work with our partners such as Literacy for Environmental Justice, the State Park Foundation, Parks California, and the community at large on fundraising strategies for specific elements of the new design. What is California State Parks doing to plan for sea level rise at Candlestick Point SRA? It is important to California State Parks that we carefully plan to protect the shoreline of Candlestick Point State Recreation Area from future storms and ensuing sea level rise. To achieve this, we retained Moffitt & Nichol, a global infrastructure advisory firm, to study how various wind and wave projections might affect our park over the next 100 years and to recommend ways we will be best able to mitigate these effects. As illustrated in Figure 4.1 from the Moffitt & Nichol study, our shoreline varies greatly in terms of how vulnerable it is to wave action. Some areas are relatively sheltered, level 1 in pink, while other areas are more exposed to the elements, level 5 in red. Because of this, Moffitt & Nichol recommend that we use a mix of strategies to protect the land, from natural solutions such as enhancing the shoreline with salt marsh or beach areas to more engineered solutions such as using riprap or building a seawall. Maintaining public access to the water is one of the paramount goals for our design. We will continue to update the public as our preliminary drawings for the implementation of Candlestick's general plan take shape. Yosemite Slough. What is Yosemite Slough? Yosemite Slough is a water channel located between Hunters Point Naval Shipyard and Candlestick Point State Recreation Area, SRA. It was originally part of a broader watershed in what is now McLaren Park that connected the former Yosemite Marsh and other natural springs with the San Francisco Bay. Historically part of the bay's rich tapestry of tidal marshes and mudfloods, Yosemite Slough was once a biologically rich ecosystem that supported a variety of wildlife, including many migrating birds. Is Yosemite Slough polluted? Between 1940 and 1970, much of the slough was filled in with soils, crushed rock, construction materials and other waste to create more usable land. Before the 1980s, stormwater carried untreated sewage into the slough. Nearby industrial activity also caused a mix of chemicals, including lead and polychlorinated biphenyls, PCBs, to build up in the slough. The sediment in Yosemite Slough can be harmful to humans and animals, mainly when it is directly ingested or by eating shellfish or fish from the slough. Direct contact with the sediment is mainly an issue for animals that feed or live at the slough. Because of these risks, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, is planning a cleanup of the site. The Yosemite Slough site is considered separate from the adjacent Hunters Point Naval Shipyard Superfund site. Candlestick Point SRA maintains signs around the slough that alert the public to the contaminated sediment in the slough. What happened with the California State Parks Foundation's restoration and public access project? With the support of generous donors, the California State Parks Foundation invested millions of dollars into restoring the wetlands around Yosemite Slough and improving public access to that area of Candlestick Point SRA. Phase I of this project was completed in 2012. This first phase included demolition of defunct industrial warehouses, other unused buildings, and roads. The land was formed to create undulating hills and restore more of the natural shoreline of the slough. Thousands of native trees, shrubs and perennials were planted with the help of local nonprofit Literacy for Environmental Justice. Phase 2A began in 2020 and included the construction of core infrastructure to improve public access to the park, including trails, perimeter boundary markers and a parking lot along the park's north shoreline area near Yosemite Slough. Repeated acts of vandalism, arson, illegal dumping and other unlawful activities have impeded the progress of this restoration work. What's going on with Yosemite Slough now? To protect public safety, California State Parks currently keeps the parking lot closed to the public. Although pedestrian access to the northern side of Yosemite Slough is still available, we employ continuous armed security guards who stem illegal activity in the area in collaboration with city agencies, including San Francisco's police and fire departments, Department of Public Works, and Department of Emergency Management. California State Parks actively engages with multiple partners in coordination with the U.S. EPA to advance the cleanup for the Yosemite Slough site. Amended in 2023, the cleanup plan calls for digging out the polluted mud in the slough and replacing it with clean material to better protect people and animals, to maintain the previously restored nearby wetland habitat and to avoid recontamination of Yosemite Slough after its future cleanup. The plan must align with the cleanup of the Hunters Point Naval Shipyard Superfund site. As of fall 2024, the EPA estimates cleanup of the Yosemite Slough site will begin in 2027. Where can I find updates on Yosemite Slough? Please visit this link for more information on Yosemite Slough from the US EPA. Former stadium site. What's going on with the former Candlestick Stadium site? 5. The developer with the rights to build on land where the Candlestick Stadium and surrounding parking lots once sat, plans to create a mixed-use development in the area, with both commercial and residential districts. The Office of Community Investment and Infrastructure, OCI, is the lead government agency who manages this redevelopment. Work on the underground plumbing and electrical infrastructure necessary for this project is planned to commence in late 2025/early 2026 and is projected to take 2 years. Information about the redevelopment of this site can be found on OCI's website. While California State Parks communicates with OCI and 5 as we continue to execute our own general plan. Our land is adjacent to the site and our involvement is limited to strategic planning to ensure that continued park access and park infrastructure aligns post-redevelopment. Last updated May 13, 2025. Related pages: Candlestick Point SRA General Plan, Candlestick Stories, an Oral History, Sunrise Point Campground, Volunteer Opportunities, Birding at Candlestick Point. Connect with Parks and Rec. Sign up to receive the latest state parks news directly to your email. Important link. Safety tips: bikes, EV charging, free passes, Parks mobile app, dogs in parks, buy it where you burn it. Follow us, contact us. Have a question? Use the contact us page. Copyright 2025. All rights reserved. Frequently asked questions is conditions of use, privacy policy, accessibility, accessible park site map.
Okay, that was a lot. So that's where we were earlier. I don't know if you can hear me with the wind. But we were up on that top right. Remember the trees and stuff like we're walking? That's where those trees were.
Live stream intro you can read right from the rail.
Oh.
Open quote. Hey everyone.
Hey.
Welcome to the North Fishing Pier at Candlestick Point.
Hello.
I brought you here because this single spot tells the whole story of how political deals keep redrawing public park borders. And that's exactly the playbook we need for the Santa Monica Airport fight. Look down. The first few pilings land on a 1960 seawall poured for the Giants ballpark. Step 3 meters forward. You're on a 1990 seismic add-on that nudged the legal shoreline another car length into the bay. Every extra board was negotiated, first by stadium boosters, later by community activists, and finally by developers swapping parkland for condos. From this vantage, you can see almost every border version at once. Behind me, the flat Great Lawn. That's all that's left of the stadium pad, waiting for 7,000 promised housing units. Off to the right, Bayview Hill's missing flank, quarried in '58 to make the fill we're standing on. Across the water, those low mounds are the new living shoreline test berms, pushed out in 2024 so the park boundary can flex again for sea level rise. We're collecting footage and samples, sand, microplastics, even algae on the riprap, to show how every policy decision leaves a physical trace in the landscape. Later, we'll line these traces up against the runway edges at Santa Monica to prove why any future land swap there has to lock in acres, deadlines, and climate buffers before the first slab is torn up. So stick around. Next stop is the Shell Mound Bluff, where the original shoreline still peeks through 3,500 years of history and 50 years of politics. Close quote.
The San Francisco Mayor's Office and master developer Lennar are asking the state of California to approve the trade of 25% of Candlestick Point State Recreation Area for economic development.
I'm Marcel Wilson, director of Bionic. We're a landscape architecture and planning studio based here in San Francisco. My firm is part of the technical team assisting Archecology in their assessment of the impacts and benefits of the Candlestick Point and Hunters Point development. The city and Lennar are proposing to build and develop on over 25% of the state park that I'm standing in right now.
This map, created by Lennar and the city, shows how much of the state park they are planning to take for the new development. The portions of areas 1 and 2 on the map are called underdeveloped, but in reality they are a meadow and grassland, the site of a recent $1 million rehabilitation project by the State Solid Waste Management Board, and a simple gravel parking lot that costs little to maintain but generates around $800,000 a year, nearly half the park's budget, by providing overflow parking for San Francisco 49er football games.
That development will be built on areas like the one I'm standing in now, and in areas that are commonly perceived as neglected, such as the parking lots. To put this in a different way, everything to my right, townhomes will be built on, and that will leave less than 200 feet between where I'm standing and the water's edge.
Hey, good afternoon. I'm Jesse Mason, Archecology's employment specialist. We put young people in the construction trades. I grew up in this area. I was born and raised right there behind me on Navy Road, Baby Hunters Point, right inside the shipyard. My father worked for the Navy as a laborer. I can remember growing up and looking over here around Candlestick and playing over here, coming from Navy Road to Candlestick Park to enjoy myself as a young man. I was no more than about 7, 8, 9, 10. And we used to climb that hill. We enjoyed those things. That was an outing for us. The Giants came to San Francisco in 1958. The city of San Francisco decided to tear down our hill and build a stadium. Well, that eliminated us from going to the park. That killed a lot of our playtime. We had to make do in the area. But that park was an area that I'll always remember, because that's when the communities came together. We fought for this park. We fought hard for this park. We need to protect this park. I know that the city wants to take 25% of it to do some building, but we need to protect this park.
So, you guys live in the community, long-term residents, born here. The area behind us is all going to be taken for the development project that Lennar and the city are cooperating on. How do you feel about 25% of the park that you helped build being taken?
Well, I don't think it should be taken, because we worked out here. Yeah, we've been out here since the '60s, and we have built this park. We all most of the stuff from Fillmore, Presidio, and we didn't have one load out here. Right, Brown? What's it more? Kennard was on the other end.
Yeah, Kennard trucking.
Yeah.
My feelings about it is I think that it's a beautiful state park, and it can represent not only Baby Hunters Point, but the city and county of San Francisco.
Right.
I think it's beautiful. And for them to build homes here, when I understand they're supposed to build private homes on the other side there in the shipyard, I think they should leave this here for the other citizens of San Francisco, and people that come here to visit.
Environmentalists and concerned residents aren't opposed to some changes in the shape of the park, but we don't think the city and Lennar have justified why they need the land and why they need an agreement from the state this year. It will be a minimum of 5 years before the 49ers move into a new stadium. That means it will be 2014 before Lennar can begin building on the state park land. The 49ers could play at Candlestick until 2023, another 14 years. That would put housing construction off even longer. Voter-approved Prop G said nothing about taking land from the state park. With no increase in rent, the parking lot would still generate $10 million towards the park's budget over the life of the lease. There are few state parks that generate that much revenue without making people pay an entrance fee. Can you think of any other neighborhood in the city that has been asked to give up 25% of its park, like the Presidio, Marina Green, Golden Gate, or Dolores, to make way for development? Can you imagine any neighborhood that would?
What's it? As I lay here and think about stuff. So we've got the park and the baseball field. So 16 years ago, they wanted to develop this. Well, I don't know whatever happened in the last 16 years, but whatever. So then you've got a revenue stream that could totally be working and to help develop or renovate or reclimate or whatever. They cut that back. So now we have no income for the town. The town's dying. And the park gets nothing. There's I've saw some small rehabilitation of some plants and stuff over here. I'm curious about those mounds I was talking about. It's just so, I mean, in Santa Monica, we have an airport. It makes money. Yeah, the money goes to the airport, but let's figure out a way to have the city make the money from the airport or something. I don't know. So many questions. The moral story is, this is something that's not, this is an old problem. Old problem, been going on for a while. Yeah. So, got the stadium, which had a profit stream with the parking lot. Man, the double do work is sucks. Okay, so you have the parking, you have the stadium has a parking lot. The parking lot was generating money. The money could have been used for the reclamation for the Naval Yard. The money could have been used to help with the seawater level rise. But the real estate companies seem to be pushing heavy, so they started getting in on, they wanted to cut 25% of the park for the real estate. And then it just like, you just see it. It's terrifying. All right. I want you guys to make want to present the evidence and you guys to make up your minds, not me tell you that was a video from 16 years ago. 16 years ago. The softball girls in the city council, they weren't even alive. Okay. I think we should try and migrate. We're here. Oh, let's go around over. So we have high. Let's see. Okay, so this is high. 5 is level 5. Level 1 in pink. Some areas are relatively sheltered. Level 1 in pink. Level 5 in red. That's this. This wall is level 5 in red. Whoa. Okay. That's cool. Let's go see some sheltered. Okay. Let's go. I guess we're off-roading. How far is this? I don't want to do this. This wasn't on my itinerary. I guess. Regular filmmaking. So much harder. It's just so much harder. Regular filmmaking is fun. This is just way hard. Like the technical challenge and the engineering challenge of what I'm doing is way. I mean, like I've done cool stuff. Like this is like hard and fun and. Does that make sense? I'm gonna freaking look at this. This is just this is so cool. I mean, I like you don't even understand. Like this is like the earliest prototype of what I'm imagining. You don't even know how long I've been searching and imagining various things. This is literally like, oh, my ankle hurts. I need something real fast. What can I get at Target? Boom, here's a Target. So like, look at the beach chairs. We've got AI beach chairs. We have Big Dog. We've got all this shit now. Like people coming. I'm not rambling. There. A flag there, flag there, flag there, flag there, flag there. So they're doing stuff. We got different color flags up there. There's a blue flag, green flag, blue flags, whole bunch of blue flags up there. Okay, let's go. So we got one of the largest on the U.S. West Coast. San Francisco Bay provides critical habitat for thousands of species, animals, birds, fish, healthy wetlands, island water, quality pollution, flood control, and biodiversity. They also provide recreational enjoyment, economic stability, and natural beauty. We've lost so many of these wetlands, but we're getting some back right here in our own backyard. Well, ground squirrel. Buddha's playing looking at those ground squirrels. Fresh water from Sacramento Mountain flows to Central Bay and estuary where we see here the first species. Climate change was a new threat. Community that's responsible. So again, we're in a state park. So this is a state park sign. What's literacy? Or environmental justice. Literacy for environmental justice. And then Copper State Park. Okay, so the peninsula is back over there. We started our journey up on the hill over there. This is the whole state park, the whole curve of the bay. This is the pink area. Over there, right in that area right there, that's where the stadium was. The town there, the impoverished town connecting the two towns with the Navy Yard over there. That's Man, California state parks are so cool. You know, you guys don't. I mean, I don't know like where y'all have been or what you've seen, and I don't know if you guys realize, but man, this stuff is so cool. Even when you get to like the parking lot over there, it's just like the classic California State Park sign, the wood. It's remote. I feel like I'm not. I don't feel like I'm near San Francisco. Like this is. I'm in the. I'm in. This isn't. This is. It's different than a city park. This is. There's very little like stuff. It's this. It's. Having a party. Whoa! Look at the hell of it. Oh, sick. Okay, so bathroom's closed. All there is that the porta potty. It's really nice though. So that's the main entrance or an entrance to the old candlestick. So that's the that was the question is every stitch. There's been lots of play in that land right there. So let's go over there and let's take a look. I mean, how long do you guys want it to be like this for?